First at 5, we have an update on the condition of a Rhode Island Superior Court judge who was hit by a car last night.
House Speaker Joe Shekarchi says Judge Richard Leach underwent surgery this afternoon and says, quote, "It looks very good." The 74-year-old was hit outside the State House last night. He previously served in many state roles, including lieutenant governor. He's in serious condition at Rhode Island Hospital tonight.
12 News reporter Alexandra Leslie joins us now live from the State House. Alex, what do we know about the driver involved?
Well, Mike, it's still not clear how fast the driver involved may have been going last night, but they were able to leave the scene on their own. Providence police say it's also not clear if they will face any criminal charges, but its traffic division is investigating. A pair of black dress shoes strewn in the middle of Smith Street was the first thing that State Rep Teresa Tanzi noticed when leaving the State House Wednesday night.
And it was impossible to miss. There was a person who was on the ground.
The victim turned out to be her colleague and Rhode Island Superior Court Judge Richard Leach. Tanzi has known Leach since his days at the Department of Administration before he was appointed to the court.
He made time for me to come over and discuss the issues that were important to the people in my district. And it didn't matter to him that I was a freshman with probably some pretty idealistic views.
Tanzi has unfortunately witnessed other car and pedestrian incidents and says things like this shine a light on opportunities that can be taken to make roads safer.
I've been a longtime advocate for implementing a law that we've passed called Complete Streets, and that takes into account every time a road is redone, we have to look for uses and how it's going to be used by all people of all, whether they're walking, biking, having a stroller, a wheelchair, they all have a right to use the road safely.
Now, this is a state-owned road, and RIDOT says it's awaiting the results of the Providence Police investigation, and based on those findings, we'll make a determination on any other actions that might be needed here. Separately, the Providence Mayor's office says that the Smiley administration is currently looking at traffic calming measures across the city of Providence. Reporting live in Providence, Alexandra Leslie, 12 News.
Matt, thank you. The Rhode Island Superior Court judge hit by a car in front of the State House remains in the hospital tonight. House Speaker Joe Shekarchi gave an update on Judge Richard Leach's condition on the House floor a short time ago. Here's what he said.
The latest information I have is that he has had surgery this afternoon, and all indications, and it's very early, that it looks very good. So please keep him in your prayers.
Last night's crash was certainly rattling to those who saw the immediate aftermath. 12 News reporter Alexandra Leslie talked to a state rep who was there last night.
State Rep Teresa Tanzi told me she was leaving the State House around 6 Wednesday night when she noticed a large police presence and a man lying on the ground with paramedics working on him. It wasn't until later that night when she saw our news report that she learned it was Judge Leach.
And honestly, the first thing that I did see was a pair of shoes.
A jarring sight outside one of the busiest buildings in Providence.
And it was impossible to miss. There was a person who was on the ground.
Providence police say a 74-year-old man crossing Smith Street was hit near the Rhode Island State House. State Rep Teresa Tanzi was leaving the State House parking lot when she saw the scene. She later learned the man hit was Superior Court Judge Richard Leach. Tanzi says she first met him when she was a freshman representative and when he served as the director of the Department of Administration in 2011, 3 years before he was appointed as a Superior Court judge.
He treated me very kindly, very respectfully, and always made time for me. And so I've always admired him for his ability to do that, to relate to people.
Unfortunately, it wasn't the first time Tanzi says she has seen an incident like this. She says while the circumstances around the incident are still under investigation, there are opportunities to make Rhode Island roads safer.
I think it's important that we implement engineering and simple paint changes on all of our roads so that we can make them safer for all users.
It's not clear how fast the driver involved may have been going or if they're facing any criminal charges at this point. Providence Police said its traffic division is investigating. Reporting in Providence, Alexandra Leslie, 12 News.